Welcome to Space Drift. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Let's talk about coffee. The fuel of our mornings, the ritual that signals the start of a new day for millions of Americans. Whether it's a quick cup before work or a slow sip on a weekend, coffee is woven into the fabric of our daily lives. It's more than just a drink. It's the backbone of productivity, the silent partner in late-night study sessions, and the unsung hero of office meetings everywhere. But in August 2025, everything changed. The Trump administration announced a staggering 50% tariff on Brazilian coffee, sending shockwaves through the industry and catching everyone off guard. That's right, a tax on the very thing that keeps America running. Suddenly, the simple act of buying a cup of coffee became a lot more complicated and a lot more expensive. This wasn't just a minor trade spat, it was a direct hit to the nation's morning routine, disrupting the comfort and consistency people rely on to start their day. Brazil isn't just a coffee producer, it's the world's coffee powerhouse, supplying nearly a third of U.S. imports in 2024. The beans that fill our cups each morning often begin their journey in the lush plantations of Brazil. Imposing a 50% tariff on that supply was economic chaos. Coffee prices spiked overnight and the financial markets reacted with uncertainty and anxiety. Supply chains unraveled almost instantly as importers scrambled to absorb costs that threatened their survival. Small businesses already operating on thin margins faced tough choices. But it wasn't just coffee. Acai, coconut water, mangoes, and beef were all hit, affecting over a third of Brazilian exports to the U.S. The ripple effects reached deep into grocery aisles and restaurant menus. For Americans, this meant pricier coffee, breakfasts, and barbecues, all thanks to a political drama playing out far from home. Suddenly, everyday staples became luxuries for many families. The shockwaves were immediate, leaving businesses and consumers reeling. Coffee shops closed early, grocery shelves emptied, and the sense of normalcy was shaken. And all of it, over a cup of coffee, a simple pleasure now caught in the crossfire of global politics, reminding us just how connected our daily rituals are to the wider world. Why would any administration target coffee? It seems like an odd choice, right? Coffee is a beloved beverage, a daily ritual for millions. But the decision to impose tariffs on coffee wasn't about the drink itself. The answer lies in political theater. It's a stage where every move is calculated for maximum impact. This wasn't about trade deficits, it was about Trump's loyalty to Brazil's ex-president, Jair Bolsonaro. Their relationship was more than just diplomatic, it was personal. Bolsonaro, facing trial for trying to overturn his election loss, found an ally in Trump, who called the trial a witch hunt. Trump's support was unwavering, even as Bolsonaro's legal troubles mounted. Trump demanded Brazil halt the prosecution and even sanction the judge overseeing the case. This was an unprecedented move, showing just how far Trump was willing to go. The tariffs weren't economic. They were international blackmail, using American consumers as leverage. Everyday people felt the pinch, paying more for their morning cup. Official statements hid behind trade jargon, but the timing was no accident. The language was carefully crafted to obscure the true intent. The tariffs coincided with Bolsonaro's legal troubles, making the motive clear. It was a strategic move, designed to apply pressure at a critical moment. U.S. economic power was wielded for personal political ends, leaving Americans to pay the price. The impact was felt in households across the country. It was a flagrant abuse of power, turning coffee into a pawn in a global feud. The consequences of such actions ripple far beyond the political arena, affecting everyday lives. So, how did Brazil respond? They stood firm. President Lula's government refused to negotiate over Bolsonaro's trial, defending Brazil's judicial independence. Instead, they launched a plan to buy up affected products like acai and mangoes for schools and stockpiles, supporting their farmers and sending a message. Coffee and beef were left out, as Brazil knew global demand would keep those industries strong. Brazil's Sovereign Brazil plan provided billions in credit to help businesses weather the storm and find new markets. The response was strategic and dignified. Brazil refused to be bullied and turned crisis into opportunity. They protected their sovereignty and diversified their trade. The message, Brazil's future isn't tied to America's tantrums. While the U.S. fumbled, China seized the moment, capitalizing on the opportunity with precision and foresight. Days before the tariffs hit, the clock was ticking, and the stakes were high. China authorized 183 new Brazilian coffee companies to export beans to its market, a move that would reshape the coffee trade landscape. This was no routine deal. It was a strategic move to fill the gap left by the U.S., ensuring a steady supply of coffee for Chinese consumers. China's public statements celebrated Brazilian coffee, highlighting its quality and the new partnership. By positioning itself as a stable, eager partner, China strengthened its economic ties with Brazil. As the U.S. market closed, American coffee businesses faced uncertainty and dwindling supplies. In contrast, China opened its doors wide to Brazil's coffee industry, welcoming the influx of beans. For Brazilian producers, this was a lifeline, access to a vast growing market of 1.4 billion people, eager for their product. China's intervention deepened economic ties and shifted the global balance of power, creating new trade routes and alliances. The Trump administration aimed to punish Brazil with tariffs, hoping to exert pressure, but instead it handed China a diplomatic and economic victory, strengthening its position on the global stage. China didn't need threats, just patience and a well-timed offer. The US played checkers, China played Go, a game of strategy and long-term planning. The prize? The world's largest coffee supply now flowing steadily into China, and America was left holding an empty cup, a stark reminder of the consequences of its trade policies. In the US, the coffee industry was in crisis. Roasters, from small shops to big brands, faced disaster as their costs soared overnight. Decades-long partnerships with Brazilian farmers were threatened. A 50% tariff couldn't be absorbed, it had to be passed on to consumers. Roasters faced a choice: raise prices and lose customers, or abandon trusted suppliers and scramble for alternatives. Brazilian beans are unique. Replacing them isn't simple. The tariffs forced businesses to reformulate blends and upend their operations. All this, while coffee prices were already rising due to climate and economic pressures. For small roasters, this wasn't just a setback, it was an existential threat. The chaos didn't stop with Brazil. The Trump administration slapped tariffs on other major coffee producers: Vietnam, Colombia, Ethiopia, Indonesia, creating a global supply crisis. US roasters couldn't just switch suppliers, every exit was blocked by new tariffs. The administration treated global supply chains like a game, ignoring the complexity and relationships involved. The result? Higher costs, fewer choices, and struggling small businesses. In August, a US court ruled many tariffs unlawful, a win for common sense, but enforcement was delayed, leaving businesses in limbo. The tariffs remained, even after being declared illegal. American businesses were trapped, waiting for relief that never seemed to come. The legal confusion only deepened the pain. The coffee crisis dragged on. So who won and who lost in this coffee war? China emerged as the big winner, securing a new trade partner and a massive coffee supply. Bolsonaro got a show of support, but at a huge cost to others. The losers? American consumers, who now pay more for coffee, and small businesses facing ruin. Brazil took a hit, but proved resilient, diversifying markets and standing firm on sovereignty. The US lost credibility as a trading partner and handed China a strategic victory. The Trump tariff tantrum failed to achieve its goal, instead hurting Americans and shifting global power. For coffee lovers, the price of politics is now in every cup.